Hey, what's up everyone? My name is DanielTarinelli. I wanted to make an announcement for anyone that's been watching the videos. I know I've only got like 20 or 25 videos on there right now, and I know there's a ton of competition out there. There's a bunch of different people that say they're the greatest at sales. I'm not gonna sit here before you, say I'm the best closer, say I'm the best salesperson. There's so many people on this planet, but what I am going to admit is making a commitment to everybody watching these videos that I'm just gonna go all out and I'm gonna do these sales training videos every day. I'm going to go over everything that I've learned in the sales industry. I've sold vehicles, I sold timeshare. I've actually worked in the construction industry as well before that, and I ended up starting this business about 6 to 8 months ago, and it's really been very satisfying for me. And so today I'm gonna have one of my reps. His name is Tyler. He started with me probably about 3 months ago, and he's been doing very well. And so Tyler, if you want to ask whatever questions that you want to ask, I'm doing this video here. Anybody watching, that kind of wants to get to know who I am, because be prepared. I'm going to be doing these videos every day, and I'm going to go in detail, guys, of everything that I know as far as any types of sales training. So Tyler, go ahead.
You got it. All right. So what made you start this business?
I started off, really my sales career began selling cars. I actually tried selling cars 3 times. I failed the first 2 times. I think I was like 20 or 21. I got my first car sales job in New York, and I'll never forget, I went to the manager because I had a customer. I was presenting numbers, and the customers wanted to think about it. And I remember I went to the manager, I said, boss, they don't want to buy the car, they want to think about it. And I remember him grabbing the paper out of my hand and cursing me out, saying I didn't know what I was doing, I couldn't close anything, and he was, screaming and yelling. And I remember he went over to the table, he TO'd. They actually ended up not buying, and they left, but I was couldn't handle the pressure of being yelled at, and I ended up leaving that dealership. I left that day and never came back, and then moved down to Florida, tried it again. Tried selling cars like a month, didn't work out. I was always a kind of a construction laborer, never had many skills, didn't graduate college, just kind of was making these minimum wage jobs. And then I tried for a 3rd time, left my job cleaning carpets and tried for a 3rd time. This is in West Palm Beach, Florida. I really dug deep, and I went through like a 2-week training course there. Started selling Kia actually, and that's when my sales career really began, and sold cars for the next 5 years. And then I moved up to Myrtle Beach, sold cars here for a little bit, moved into a management role, and then I came up with this idea because when I was selling cars, I remember I'd come into the dealership, and the manager would hold a meeting and say, guys, we all need to get on the phones. The showroom's empty right now. Everybody get on the phones and kind of set some appointments. So I remember seeing that issue at every dealership I went to work for, and I saw there was a major problem, and I became very good at making phone calls and generating appointments, to where the last dealership I worked for, I came in there, didn't know anybody, didn't have any connections, didn't get fed any leads, and I was salesperson of the month, my whole time I was there, my very first month in. And that's because I would go and hammer the phones. There was a little cubicle, I remember, they had this little, they're called their BDC office, but it was an office probably smaller than the one that I have now. And I, bunker down in that little cave, and I'd make, 80 to 120 phone calls. And I told myself, I'm not coming out of this office until one of the other salespeople grabs me and says, hey, there's somebody here asking for you. And I had that mentality, and I became top salesperson the whole time I was there. Moved into a BDC management position because they saw the value I had to bring people in the door. And then as a BDC manager, I was only there for a short few months. I made a decision that I wanted to go on my own. I knew I had a really good idea. I was very passionate about it, and I just made a decision that I was going to fully commit. Wasn't easy by any stretch of the imagination. Started this with 0 clients, actually kind of lost my job in kind of unsuspected way. I didn't really plan out of that happening. And my very first client was a small pre-owned dealership, out in inland in South Carolina. And I remember, driving up to that dealership, to talk with the general manager or the owner there. And I just remember that still vividly now of the gravel lot and on this backcountry road. And now we have the 4 dealers. We have 4 clients now, and the business is growing. And I'm excited to see what the future holds. So.
All right, is that it, or you got
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Okay. Starting this business, you've been in business for how long? 6-8 months now?
Yeah, business been open about 6 months now, so it's fairly new. Basically brand new business.
What outcome were you expecting to this present day? Were you expecting this exact outcome, or were you expecting the business to be somewhere else?
So, when I first started the idea, the whole business model was completely different. And, to be completely honest with you, I envisioned, an office and 8 to 10 reps within month 1 or month 2. And I didn't realize how difficult it was actually going to be to get the business up and running. So it was consistently just putting in the work and really not giving up and being persistent and realizing that it's not going to happen as fast as they would like to. At this point, I'm looking to grow, looking to add more clients and more reps. It was definitely a long way coming. A lot of frustration, a lot of uncertain nights, and I'm just trying to push every day to really expand the business and to grow it. So, I thought the business would be, if you were to ask me when I first started the idea where I was going to be in 6 months, it's probably very close to where it is now. And that was the power of really looking and visualizing in my mind of what the business would look like, even though no matter how many people told me that, it wasn't going to work for this reason and that reason, it was really just, almost being by myself and visualizing, okay, 6 months down the road, if I do each one of these steps, I know I can get it to that point. So it's actually pretty close. It's pretty close to where I thought it would be 6 months down the road. So I am happy about that as far as kind of what it looks like. We do have an office, we have multiple reps here, so it is going well. So.
All right. Alrighty, another question. Other than BDC work and marketing with other dealerships, have you considered adding anything else to this business, like real estate or any other kind of marketing?
So when I was writing up the business plan for 7th Call, I had about 20 pages filled out of every detail, anything that can possibly go wrong. This was actually the 9th or 10th business idea that I wrote out. This was the only one that I was able to get all the way through. I would actually, when I was selling cars, I'd sit on the beach and, write out a business plan. I hit a roadblock and then I wouldn't do it. This was the first one that I was able to write out, about 20 pages, and from what I thought, I was able to work out all the kinks, so that's why I started to go with it. But in the original business plan, it was actually a service like this, but it was going to be for multiple industries. So it was going to be for, the automotive industry, and something like real estate, also too, like the cell phone industry. Really any industry that has a lot of repeat customers, has a trade cycle where you go and you trade, whether you're trading homes, you're trading jet skis, trading boats, trading cell phones, trading vehicles, anything in that sort of industry where there's sort of a rotation of the product, is what was my original idea, was to do this for a bunch of different industries. There are industries out there that don't even realize yet the potential increase they could have in their business if they had something like what our company does. And what our company does is, it's essentially a BDC department that's already established. The training's already there. A dealership can basically call us and say, hey, we want your services. They don't have to worry about, training the reps. They don't have to worry about the payroll. They don't have to worry about recruiting. They also don't have to worry about any interdepartment conflicts, which I've seen happen when I worked at dealerships with the BDC already in place. So It's just something for, right now, just a dealership to use. But to answer that question, Tyler, yeah, absolutely. That's the ultimate goal, was to do this for multiple industries.
Alrighty. Is that it, or you got more? Or?
No, that was it.
Okay. Where do you see yourself and this business, and maybe some of your other reps? Where do you see it all in 5 years?
5 years. So in 5 years, I definitely want to have some other offices, maybe out west, maybe in Florida. But I want to have multiple offices throughout the country. Definitely be in some other industries, but more importantly than that, I want the business to recruit and train and be able to have people that are maybe just coming out of high school, or maybe they're just coming out of college, they're not sure what they want to do. That's what I really want to develop, is those demographic of people, and kind of teach them and show them a way to make a good living, also learn some other core principles. I do some training on some other stuff as well. So in the bigger picture, aside from the services that we provide, I almost want this to be sort of a system for the younger generation to kind of come in, learn like some self-discipline, learn some sales ability, get some experience with hard work. Also, I want to do some education, on financial health and also overall health, and have this be a place where someone can look forward to coming in. And I want to have those offices throughout the country, actually, and for people all over the country to come to an office and kind of go through almost like a seventh call program. So in addition to the services, I want this to be as paired with like a self-help program. And it's not just going to be geared toward just for younger people, even if it's somebody in their 40s or 50s and they kind of want to get inspired and maybe show the younger generation some of the stuff that they've learned as well in a positive way. I definitely am looking to create a very unique work culture as well, in addition to the services through the other industries as well.
Okay. Out of all the people, and I'm sure you look up to some people, right? Like everybody else does.
Mm-hmm.
What person, and it can be anybody too, it could be like a celebrity or a business person. What person do you look up to most, where you get most of your ideas from, and who gives you like the most motivation to keep this business going?
So I actually don't have a lot of role models, and growing up, I actually really didn't look up to anyone. This is going to sound, very cliche, because this guy is so popular right now. But this gentleman, and anyone that knows me closely can verify that my story is almost identical to Grant Cardone's, except for the whole passing of his father, when he was 10. My dad is still alive, but as far as everything else, there's about a 10 to 12 year time period where I did go through a massive addiction. I was not living right. And I spent those years wasted, really, and living a awful life of depression and very frustrated times. And then I started selling cars, and that's really when, my life turned around. So, I know that sounds kind of BS, but like I said, anyone that's close to me, it's almost an identical story. Actually, my first dream was to be a professional baseball player too. And I remember going to that 10X Growth Con, and Grant Cardone was above the dugout, and he was speaking, and he had a stadium filled with people, and he was explaining that his first dream was to be a professional baseball player. And then what really propelled me and gave me that massive motivation is I studied this guy, right? And I'm like, all right, I'm watching him speak, and I'm like, he's not really super sophisticated, doesn't really seem super intelligent, and but he just works hard and he has courage. And I started studying of like where he was at when he was 28, which is how old I am now. And I was looking, I was like, okay, he was just stopped selling cars. From what I understand, it's just bits and pieces that are a little bit off on his story, but from what I understand, he was like just about to be stopping selling cars and was starting his business at 28. And I kind of look at where I'm at now, and I see he's 60, 61 years old now. And it just hit me. This was probably almost a year ago when I actually started digging in, and I was, attaining a tiny bit of success compared to where my life was, 7, 8 years ago, which was a complete disaster. And that's when I really got that motivation, because I found that one person. I was like, okay, if he was doing that at 28, what can I do? if I just continue to be super disciplined and do whatever it takes for the next, 30 plus years. So you're talking about, that's a lot of time. So that's when I really was able to believe that I could do something like this, where I could, really push myself, because, 7, 8 years ago was a very dark time for me. And I thought just keeping $20 in my pocket was a near impossible challenge. And to get to this point, a lot of people would say, hey man, that's a miracle. But now I'm looking at that situation of seeing that gentleman, reading his books and learning his sales programs and everything like that. I really did look up to him as a role model, and use that situation to really get myself to believe. And that's a huge thing, was getting myself to believe that it was possible. So that would be really the only one that I have, in addition to seeing my father go through some struggle and attaining success as well. Also gave me the ability to think that it was possible too. Yeah.
Alrighty. I got one more question for you, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
In your personal opinion, what is the most important part of a business? And it can be any business, like a growing business or a big business. What would be the most important part of it to you?
The most important part is the people, is the reps, the employees. That's the most important part, because no matter how much you think, how hard you can work, right? I'm super motivated. I can do it all. I'm the hardest worker out there. You gotta have people to help you. So for me, when I'm interviewing someone and when I'm recruiting people, to me, that's the most important thing I can do. Because if I can find good reps that can put in the extra work and that have the skill set to help grow the company, and also people that you can trust, the rest of everything else just becomes easier. And that's what I found. And it's also, going with your gut feeling sometimes as well. If it doesn't feel right, don't hire the person. But then also too, if you think the person's not going to make it, but they seem like a good person, I would just hire them and give them a chance too, because it's really finding people with that good core character skill set. And to give you a perfect example, the gentleman interviewing me right now, Tyler, he told me like last week that, hey, I really don't like calling out. It kind of makes me feel bad. And I remember when I was working for an employer, I hated calling out. When I called out, even when I was sick, the whole day I would kind of have this feeling of like, man, I really shouldn't have called out. So I look for people kind of with that mindset. I look for people that they don't want to call out because they want to be here. And I used to think when I called out, I was missing out on money, missing out on what, my coworkers were doing, missing out on sales. So, that's really what I look for. So the most important thing, in my opinion, would be the people, 100%.
Absolutely. All right, I'm out of questions. Do you have anything else to say before I end it? Or?
Just wanted to let everybody know out there watching this on YouTube, 6 a.m. the videos are going to be released. I'm going to be doing, 10 to 15 minute videos. I'm going to go in detail, guys. Specific details. Some of this stuff that I'm going to go over, I have taken from other sales trainers. Just keep in mind, the best sales trainer out there right now, whoever you may claim that to be, has gotten stuff from other people. That is how people learn how to do this trade, which is sales. They're gonna take bits and pieces and then they're gonna make it their own. So there's no person out there that has 100% creativity. It's just really, who do you think is the most authentic, genuine? Who do you like the most? What person resonates you with the most, and how is that communicated? So stay tuned for more videos. Again, my name is DanielTarinelli. I look forward to doing these videos every day. And I hope everyone has a great day. Take care.